So we would like to say thank you so much for everyone to come for today's session, and um, we already like having our speakers, that is Sarah and Prem. Before we start our event, I would like to introduce Sarah and Prem by reading their biography before we start the presentations. Starting from Sarah. Sarah currently is the Indigenous Fellow at the World Intellectual Property Organization, or WIPO. She represents WIPO at the United Nations Permanent Forum on the Indigenous Issues, Expert Mechanism on the Rights of Indigenous People, and other related events. She also co-organized regional and global projects for women entrepreneurs from Indigenous people and local communities, as well as activities aimed at youth from IPLCs. She advised on the design of activities and programs for IPLCs at the Traditional Knowledge Division, and supported to the processes of the Intergovernmental Committee on Intellectual Property and Genetic Resources, Traditional Knowledge and Folklore session, including diplomatic conference on genetic resources and associated traditional knowledge, and facilitated the communication between the Secretariat and the Indigenous Consultative Forum. So, Mrs. Sarah, thank you so much for coming. And we also have Prem, the Vice President of External Relations from the IAAS. He currently like pursuing a bachelor in the agricultural science, and as the global vice president of external relations at IIAS, he championed a progressive sustainability agenda, amplifying the voices of 10,000 more students across 53 plus countries, and dedicated steering committee member at COP28 Children and Youth Pavilion, and part of the Young Food and Agriculture working group. So yes, the time is perfect. For the next, we would like to give the place to Mr. Pam to present regarding the biotechnology. But at first, we would like to give a little bit understanding about this event. We would like to, as we know, the title for today is Forest for Biotechnology and Indigenous People Intellectual Property of IPLCS, or Indigenous People and Local Communities, where we understand that biotechnology is something that is innovation, but not also something that is new, as we try to modify the knowledge that we already know in here. So talk about the ethics on using the biotechnology on the forest itself. We also like see on so many debates in here, and also the indigenous people or local community, uh, because like their idea is being replaced totally somehow. So in here, like we will talk more about that. So to start our presentation, I will share the screen for Prem, and please, uh, wait a minute. Wait, all right. So, uh, I hope, like you already can see my screen, but if you're not, please let me know. Okay, is the slide already being shown?
No.
Oh, okay. I guess it's still loading, right? All right. So I hope like it is shown right now.
Yeah. You can make it fully screen, then we can also discuss.
All right. So please, Prem, take your time.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introductions, and also I'd like to thank Sarah for joining this. Also, I think she will highlight more about the technical part. So I'll highlight some of the youth lead project in communities for the natures. Also focus on the biotechnologies for forests. So basically, I will do the simpler part, like simple discussion, simpler like representing some youth lead projects in the communities and how we are making the planet better. So next one. So can you move to next slide? So yeah. before one slide. So for second slide, this is third one. Yeah. So next one. So like it's going like 4 slides in once. So can you go to just the second slide? If you have any difficulties, yeah. So I think I'll do my slide like screen sharing. That will be better because it might be fruitful too.
Pardon, you would like to share your own screen?
Yeah. So it might be
Alright.
might be difficult to the audience, and also it might be some.
Alright, I will stop the sharing now.
Yeah, sure. So, is it visible? It's still loading or like visible for you?
Yeah, on me like you started the screen sharing, but I cannot see anything.
Yeah, this is the things similar one in mine.
But I guess like I can help you because I somehow like understand on how to present it.
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Alright.
So thank you, like everyone. Like sorry for the inconvenience. So regarding my name is Prem Thoki, and also I'm the vice president. So I'm not moving forward. I'll not explain about my own introductions because we have limited times. So next one. Will you move to next slide? Yeah. Next one. Third one. Yeah. Yeah, so basically we discuss about the table of content. Today we'll discuss about those things, like basically like importance of improving natures. First and second one is youth lead projects. I already said as a large student association in the field of agriculture and related sciences, I would like to highlight how the young people are taking actions for the betterment of nature and also improving the, also using the biotechnologies for the like forest management, also making the nature better. So third one is we'll also highlight the simple and a basic case study how the biotechnology is working on the forest management and how the biotechnology will working for the better planet. So fourth one is way forward and recommendation. We discuss about how we can do better, also work better and also act better. So fifth one is conclusion. So it might be simple one, but might be helpful for you, also interactive for us. So next one is so yeah, so why the importance of improving nature is like crucial for us. So this is the question for you, us, for everyone. So why the improving natures? Why we have to improve the natures, and what is the importance of this? So basically, the importance, like according to the International Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the nature-based solutions are the one of the like critical, one of the like crucial solutions that can provide 1/3 of the like cost-effective climate mitigations which establish the global warming. We are facing different type of climate issues like pollutions, biodiversity loss, and also global warming. And as you know, like the data says that 2023 is the hottest year in the planet. So nature-based solutions, also if we work on the natures with natures, so we can also mitigate, also adapt, and also build the adaptation techniques and also mitigation techniques for the climate change. Also, we can reduce the impact of triple crisis, that is biodiversity loss, climate change, and also the pollutions. So some of the key informations are like, as you know, like it's simple one, genetic engineering. You all know genetic engineering, right? So if we use the genetic engineering things or tools, we can develop the resilience crops and trees. So there might be the more like maintenance of biodiversity. Also, we can conserve the flora and fauna. So next one is restorations. I will highlight again, the restoration is the one of the key things we have to focus on for the improving natures, because restoration can also mitigate the climate change, also adapt the impact of climate change, also enhance the biodiversity, because biodiversity is the one of the key factors to sustain and also to maintain, also to improve the planet and also to improve the natures. And third one is carbon sequestration. It's the one of the things in every policy guidelines, in regulation, also like NDCs, we are focusing on the how we can sequestrate the carbons. Also, how can we increase the area of forest so we can also mitigate the climate change and also enhance biodiversity. So this is the key information for us or for you. The importance of improving natures is needed, also important because of these reasons. So next one. So now moving on, I'll discuss about some youth-led projects. This, being honest, this project is simple and also taking small step, but as you know, like small but tangible actions or effort lead to the larger impact in the society in near future, right? So we are focusing, and ES is focusing on the simple projects, which is simpler in actions, also like making the small step but tangible effort and actions, because we know and we believe that tangible actions, the small efforts but tangible actions will lead to the larger futures, and we can create a impact in the near future. So some of the projects I will highlight inclined with the natures, also inclined with the communities. We are working with the different type of communities in the 5 regions. So basically, before that, we have 40 projects on ground. All those projects are led by the youth. So this is the key points. All those projects are led by youth for the communities, and they are improving the planet. They are improving the society. So first one is rainwater management integrated with automated drip irrigations. This project is developed because they face the scarcity of water in dry land for the fruit production and other things, and they come up with the innovative idea to incorporate the drip irrigations, also rainwater harvesting and management. So second one is agro schooling. This project is based in the Indonesia. They are basically focusing on the awareness, also educating the young people, or we can say school students, who are the next generation of planet, and also making aware about the pollutions through innovations. Also, they are implementing the 3R environmentals and also zero waste concept. So third one is Toppery for change makers. This is the innovative projects working conducting, also implementing in Nepal. So they use Soria robusta leaf as an alternative of plastic plate. We can reduce, or also we can mitigate the plastics. Also we can replace the plastic by the leaf of the plant. So this is the alternative one. We can say Toppery for the change maker. So in this project, they use 4R concept, or we use 4R concept. Basically, we are beating the plastic pollutions. So next one. So next project ES have regarding the natures, and also regarding the forest, and also regarding the biotechnology is soil rehabilitation and protections. In this projects, the youth peoples are training to youth. Youth are training to youth. Also, they are making awareness on the soil degradation. How can we reduce soil degradations? Also restorations and also protection technique while combating improvement by enriching the soils and suitable crop and plants. So it's focused on the training, capacity building, restorations, and also protections. So fifth projects we are doing is inter-schools festival for the environment. this is this project is a simple one. We are encouraging young people to adopt environmental protections and also work on the environmental protection on the daily basis. We are making awareness, we are educating people, and we are advocating for the environment. These are the things. And sixth one is date back to aware hero. We can say it like returning back to the awareness. We can say it the simple form. So young people are working to reduce the triple crisis: biodiversity loss, climate change, and biodiversity loss, climate change, also the pollutions. They are working, and also they are advocating, they are making awareness to the peoples, and they are training the young peoples and the communities, and all working together with the local communities, local society, to make the awareness, also reduce pollutions, and also reduce the triple crisis of the world. So these are the projects we are doing in the communities, also uplifting things. We are working for the nature, we are working for the planet. So these are the 6 projects. There are many projects, but I just highlight these are some of the projects from the pool, because it might be helpful, and also these projects are showcased because we believe that small and tangible actions lead to the better futures. So I hope this type of activities will motivate you to do the same in your communities, also uplift the communities, also train the young peoples in your society. So next one is, now I'll move to the I'll concise my presentation, also try to wrap up as soon as possible. So next one is, can you move to next slide? So now I'll focus on the case study. Basically, we discuss about the youth-led solutions, how the youth are taking actions on the grounds. So I will also discuss about the forest management and biotechnology. In some part, this is the case study. I just highlight the simple things, and might be more technical and deeper things will be highlighted by the Sarah. So next one is, as you know, because better than me, I think gene editing in the trees also show the promising result enhancing disease resilience, persistent, also improving the wood quality. So as a forest student, agriculture student, as a nature science student, this is the one of the technology we can use for the betterment of the planet, and also we can enhancing the disease resistant, or improving the wood quality. That might be for the forest management, and we can enhance the biodiversity, and also we can increase the number of flora and fauna in the forest, and also we can improve the environment and other things. So some of the key information related to this case study are the forest management practices with biotechnology can enhance the resilience and productivity. It's simple one, you can understand, and also everyone can understand that sustainable forest management practices are important for the enhancing the resilience and productivity. Next one is collaborations and awareness among the partners, among the stakeholders. So we can develop the biotechnological solutions. Also, we can adopt the biotechnological solution. Also, we'll focus on the management of forest in a proper way. So this is the case study, the simple one, but might be one of the basic for those things. The next one. So now I'll move to some of the recommendations. I think the first one is many survey and research show that the regulations and some monitoring for the biotechnology and biotech application in forest is important, because as a technology we are using those things, and so those technology as making effect, negative impact, and so effect on the planet, also in the forestry sectors, also in the maintaining our better planet. So we have to focus on the strict regulations, the monitoring. So there might be some recommendations from my side. Also, I will also recommend those things, because first one is the strengthening the environmental impact assessment. Environmental impact assessment, impact assessment, also initial impact assessment. So we can do the both. So we can reduce the negative impact of the use of biotechnological technology, and also other technologies, and also making the planet better. We can also use biotechnology tools for the positive impact, not a negative impact, and also we can manage the forest. First one is, as we said, monitoring and evaluation. Also, the strengthening the environmental impact assessment is key. And next one is encouraging the youth participation. Youth participation in UN events like COP, where we can make a big decision in the climate change and so other things. Also empowering young peoples and encouraging young peoples to participate in the United Nations Environmental Assembly in Kenya. So UNA, so young peoples can also have ideas, and they are focused on the triple planet crisis. Like they can also be the plastic pollutions. Also, they can have discussion and negotiation on the like resolutions. So they will focus on the solution rather than the problems. They will lead the innovative ideas to solve the things, and also they will lead to the better solutions in the future. So next one is participations. So next one is stakeholder engagement. Working alone is not enough, and like everyone knows, working alone will not be enough. So we have to work together with different stakeholder in a different area, in different area, in different themes, in a different situation and different phases. So stakeholder engagement is the one of the key things we have to follow. We have to work along with the different type of strong stakeholders. So and nextly, we have to work with the like our government, that might be national entities. So regarding NDCs and a different type of other policies we are developing from our nations, youth people have input on those contributions and those papers and those resolutions, also those type of papers. So there might be more solution coming around from the youth. Also, there might be one of the best things we'll implement for the nature-based solution and for the making the planet better. So this is the recommendation. And coming to the conclusion, so I'll recap some of the major highlights. So first one is nature-based solutions and also conservations of forest management will be importance for the better planet. So next one is youth-led initiative. I will highlight. I will repeat again. The youth-led initiative is important and crucial for for drive the community better one. Also drive the innovations and also community resilient in environmental projects. So the projects related to improve the planet, to improve the environment, also that to reduce the triple crisis like biodiversity loss, climate change, and also pollutions will be important. Is important, was important, also that will be important in the future. So we have to focus on those type of youth-led innovations along with the communities. So next one is the policy. The policy is the one of the framework we have to work on together. So also moving on, the risk assessment is the one of the essential things work on. So we have to work on. So along with that, we have to work on the like responsible use of biotechnologies. So because technology have positive and negative impact in the same times, in the same areas, also in the same genre. So we have to use the positive and responsible use of technologies as I said, biotechnology like genetic engineering, genetic editing, and other things. Also, along with this, we have to focus on the youth engagement in effective way, not only for the engaging and also participating. I will say effective and efficient way, the youth engagement in the biotechnology for the planet and for the other type of projects and youth-led innovative ideas. So next one is call to actions. In overall, if you want to make planet better, if you want to manage the forest, if you want to use biotechnologies, also if you want to develop the communities and uplift the communities, you have to work. You have to work, like you have to act now, also act differently and act together. This is the themes and this is the call to action process. So for that, we have to encourage the young peoples and different type of stakeholder, might be the researcher, might be academic, might be youth, might be government, and different stakeholder. We have to encourage them, also collaborate them for the better things. Also next one is we have to like collaborate with the policymakers, young leaders, also the other potential stakeholders for taking actions and for making the planet better. So in the last, the biotechnology and youth initiative for the greener future is important, needed, and we have to work together for that. So in last, I'll say talking a lot will not enough, and also we have to work hard. We have to take actions in the grounds. Might be will start from now. Also, you start from now. Those actions might be different, and also those actions will be different in the society, different in the communities. Also, we have to work together. This is the things. The act now, act differently, and act together is the one of the key things to achieve the greener futures. So this is my message, and this is my conclusion of the presentations. So thank you for your time and considerations. Happy to have Q&A sessions, and sorry for the inconvenience. Yeah, thank you. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, Prem, for the presentation. It's very great, and I'm so sorry also for some technical stuff from my side. So without further ado, I would like to give to Mrs. Sarah for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wenning, and thank you so much, Prem, for that very good presentation. I will speak on behalf of WIPO about the importance of the indigenous knowledge, traditional knowledge and traditional culture expressions, as well as some other aspects associated with the topic at hand. So as Wenning introduced me, I work for the Traditional Knowledge Division at the World Intellectual Property Organization. I belong to an indigenous community, the Quichua Otavalo people in Ecuador. So I'm going to start by mentioning a bit about what is intellectual property, because this is the perspective from which I will be sharing information. First of all, when we talk about intellectual property, we are referring to the creations of the human mind. This is to say, what it results from human creativity and innovation. Many of you might have heard about different kinds of intellectual property rights of protection, such as trademarks, patents, and other things similar to that. So intellectual property deals with that area of knowledge. Likewise, the intellectual property system aims to enable people to earn recognition, whether this can be financial, for what they invent or create, and the intellectual property also tries to encourage inventiveness through the benefits that creators can get through the system. Also, the system tries to encourage that more innovations are created in the future, not just protecting the works of the creators now, but also for future. There are some things that are very specific to the intellectual property system that oftentimes doesn't match the collective nature of the knowledge of indigenous peoples. I'm going to talk about that further, but to start, this is kind of the area where we are going to be exploring from the intellectual property lenses, and how this translates to the knowledge of indigenous peoples and how they manage either the forest and other types of knowledge that they have. So regarding WIPO is an agency and a specialized agency of the United Nations that focuses on intellectual property issues. And there are 193 states, and the headquarters of the organization is based in Geneva. There are other intellectual property offices around the world, and we coordinate with them, and we also coordinate with member states. We engage with multiple stakeholders. And that is also part of our mission to make the intellectual property system more accessible, and some system that also involves everyone. So I'm gonna go to the second slide. On this, I would like to share that when we refer to traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions, there are some specificities related to each one of the terms. We refer to traditional knowledge to the forms in which traditional knowledge and traditional culture are expressed. So it might be tangible or intangible or mixed. For example, there are songs, performances, crafts, names, symbols, and arts. And likewise, when we refer to traditional cultural expressions, we refer to the knowledge which results from the intellectual property, intellectual activity in which in a traditional context. So this includes the know-how, skills, innovation, practices, and learning, and it's not limited or to a specific technical field. So these two terms are kind of existing in the same place, and pretty much one refers to the know-how and the other one refers to, for example, how we see those expressed in tangible ways. So when we refer to one of them, or sometimes when we hear indigenous peoples referring to talk about their traditional knowledge, they also include, you know, the traditional cultural expression. So they're very much interlinked. And then moving to the next slide, there's also some other particularity about traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions, which are that they are handed down from generation to generation. And this is one thing that I mentioned at the beginning, that this type of knowledge is a collective knowledge. Compared to how it was shaped, the intellectual property system, sometimes this can result in some sort of conflicts because the perspective from which collective knowledge has been shaped sometimes doesn't match the intellectual property system that was formed during the industrialization era. This means that the rights were given to individuals or companies, so the system was itself shaped according to those needs. So this is important to note, and going back to some of the characteristics of traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions is that this type of knowledge for indigenous peoples is not just like any type of knowledge, because this is very much related to the identity of indigenous peoples, or also to their spirituality. So these are regarded as a collective under their customary laws. Likewise, when we talk about traditional knowledge, oftentimes people think about traditional being in the past. However, it is important to note that the knowledge is also constantly evolving, and as indigenous peoples still, you know, still are here, their knowledge keeps being handed out from generation to generation, and also evolving and adapting to the needs or challenges that they might face. So traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions, they are intellectual property. However, as I mentioned before, there are some discrepancies, some things that don't go with the intellectual property system, and therefore cannot be fully protected by the current intellectual property system. Now, when we also talk about genetic resources as part of our work. And here I'm just gonna read a couple of key points that from the intellectual property system lenses we consider. So the genetic resources are defined by the CBD, which is the Convention on Biological Diversity, as it can be genetic material of plant, animal, microbial, and other origin containing functional units, or of heredity of actual or potential value. And I think Prem already mentioned a bit about some aspects related to this. And generally, the genetic resources are not considered intellectual property. However, WIPO complements the work of international frameworks such as the CBD Nagoya Protocol, concerning especially access to benefit sharing. So this is how we complement the work, is particularly in relation to the patents. So patents are actually, as I mentioned at the beginning, an intellectual property rights. So that is the angle from which WIPO sees this. And sometimes there are genetic resources that are associated with the traditional knowledge of an indigenous community. So from WIPO's perspective, what we aim is that within the system, there is the prevention of patents being granted erroneously, and also that there is a good tracking and compliance with the access to benefit sharing systems. And then also, I'm just gonna go to the next one. So as I mentioned before, traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions and genetic resources associated with traditional knowledge, they don't have a full protection within the IP system. And there is a need for protection, and there has been conversations going on at the governmental level, international level, about how to protect, what are the limitations to protect, and what are some of the future challenges as well. So the importance and the need for protection is because traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions, because of that lack of protection, they are vulnerable to misuse, misappropriation, or commercial use without the free, prior, and informed consent of indigenous peoples. Likewise, perhaps you have seen in the news that there is a lot of commotion from people, from indigenous groups, being rightfully so not in agreement with perhaps a pharmaceutical company coming to their communities and not sharing the benefits. So kind of those scenarios, and not only on the genetic resources side, but also for perhaps in the fashion industry, for example, when designs are used in not an appropriate way or context. So that is the risk for indigenous peoples and their traditional knowledge, because there's no, in IPLCs at the international level, there is not such protection. So the knowledge of indigenous peoples is often sacred, and there is also this risk of erosion of local knowledge systems because of this misuse or misappropriation. And also there is an impact in their economy. So everything is correlated. And I here, before going to the next slide, I would like to highlight that there is the UN Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples. In Article 31, you can see there is a reference about the intellectual property of indigenous peoples. This is to their traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions, and how they have, the right to manage their intellectual property. So it is a very relevant article to look at. And regarding developable norms, so currently we have there are a couple of options. I mentioned that some also it is important to mention that every country has their own laws to which they might have or may not have implemented norms about the protection of traditional knowledge, traditional cultural expressions, or genetic resources associated with traditional knowledge. So far we have the options of protecting this knowledge through the already existing current IP system. Such as, for example, copyright. I have mentioned here an example about copyright on recording, performances, photographs, if the community so wishes. And also we have trademarks, geographical indications. This can be used by the community to protect the authenticity. So this is another way in which indigenous peoples have been using the IP system to protect some aspects of the intellectual property of their, and the knowledge of their communities. There are other measures such as documentation, and also defensive protection through contracts. We also have emerging norms. For example, I mentioned that every country has their own laws regarding the protection, intellectual property rights, and there have been some sui generis laws set up by different countries. And also at the international level, there are some norms that are being discussed. I will mention this later on because there's a conversation about genetic resources associated with traditional knowledge that is very important, that is happening this year. Briefly, I wanted to mention that as WIPO, we have a traditional knowledge division. So we have the normative side of our work, which focuses on setting up, first of all, facilitating the negotiations to set up an international instrument or instruments that addresses the protection of traditional knowledge, traditional cultural expressions, and genetic resources associated with traditional knowledge. And then on the here we also engage with member states. We facilitate the negotiations. We engage with indigenous peoples. We provide also policy and legislative assistance to regional and national authorities. And on the other side, we have the practical work that we do, which is related to the programs that we have and that also encourage capacity building, either with member states or also indigenous peoples. And we also have, our in the middle, we create also publications that help to set up some starting points for the relevant discussions. I mentioned that there is something going on at the global level, and this is as part of the normative development. This is the normative side of our work, and there is the WIPO Intergovernmental Committee on Traditional Knowledge, Traditional Cultural Expressions, and Genetic Resources associated with traditional knowledge and folklore. So it was created in the year 2000, and this fora welcomes member states delegates. We also have civil society, indigenous peoples, as well as local communities, businesses, and this later group acts as generally observers to these negotiations. So these negotiations take place at least about 2 times per year, and the process of accreditation is pretty easy, at least for associations, indigenous peoples, to act as observers. So this is very important to know, because I mentioned that there is a international, this normative process at the global level is still going on. So I mentioned that there is no protection of the knowledge, TK and TCEs. So this is the reason why it exists, to get to that point, and through also the participation of different stakeholders. For example, we have the Indigenous Consultative Forum. This is the Indigenous Caucus. Representatives from different indigenous organizations come to this meeting, and they propose, also they do a lot of lobbying with member states, but they also try to propose texts with the support of member states, depending on the modalities of every meeting. So we have the voluntary fund as well that aims to support the participation of indigenous peoples to this space particularly. And there is an indigenous panel as well that takes place at the start of every session, in order to as well, share the perspectives of indigenous peoples in regards to the negotiations. So an important question to consider when talking about genetic resources that could be very, very relevant to researchers. We have already, explored about what is the IP system, and also what is TK, TCEs, and also GRs associated with traditional knowledge. And from the perspective of an IP perspective, we have seen that there is no protection. So there is a risk of misuse of this knowledge. So being that said, what we can do now, no? So as researchers, from a perspective of research, these are some of the important questions you should be asking yourself, such as, am I using any traditional knowledge or genetic resources that is associated with any traditional knowledge? And also, how did I have access to this knowledge? So recently, I don't know if you've seen in the news, there have been some new species in the Amazon being discovered by researcher groups, but they discovered a new type of, I think, one of the largest type of snakes. I cannot remember the exact name. But it was very interesting to hear how they found this new type of snake, because the indigenous community knew about it long ago, and they said you can find it, in this certain location, and because of that, they were able to make that discovery. And you have to be asking yourself, who provided me with this information so I can access this knowledge. So I thought that was very related to this question. And then another question you can ask yourself is that if I'm not using traditional knowledge or genetic resources, would it be useful for me to use it? And then another question is, if I am an inventor, how close is my invention to traditional knowledge or genetic resources? And from that starting point of recognizing where you stand, there are some best practices that I would like to share with you today. For example, there are some access and benefit sharing regulations that you should be aware of. Depending on the country, you should consult this. Likewise, there are some sui generis laws for the protection of traditional knowledge that you should consult depending on where you're located. And this would be very important because you don't want to, go past over that sort of regulations that have been set in place for a reason. In our website, you can find these laws and treaties and regulations in our database. I have included the link here, so you're welcome to, I'll share this presentation later on, but you're welcome to click and check how this interactive tool works for this purpose. Likewise, when referring to another best practice is that you should check also the patent disclosure requirements for genetic resources and traditional knowledge. This is very important as well. And we have a couple of publications on this that complements the tool that I have mentioned before. We also have an interactive tool where it's kind of a database where you can get access to the access and benefit sharing agreements that have been placed, and you can see by country. You can select the country and other modalities that you might need to adjust depending on your context, and then you can have kind of a summary of that. But also this publication that we have is a very good guide as part of you're a researcher, someone who's working in this field, that will help your process to be more ethical and also to be more aligned with the fair values. And then I mentioned that there is a conference going on in this year that is very important. This is the diplomatic conference. So I mentioned that we have had negotiations going on from the year 2000, and it's been almost 24 years. But finally, the General Assembly decided that they're going to convene a diplomatic conference this year. And this is to finalize the instrument, one of the instruments. Specifically, this is related to the patent, to patents. Especially, the diplomatic, first of all, the diplomatic conference will take place from May 13 to 24th in Geneva, and will be negotiated based on the basic proposal. We already have a page, a website. You can have included the link of the website where you can see the explainer about the diplomatic conference, what are the issues that they will be addressing. also any other practical information that might be useful. So this is important to know because after so many years of negotiation, finally this hopefully we will get a finalized text, and the instrument itself would aim to enhance the efficiency, efficacy, transparency, and quality of the patent system with regard to genetic resources and associated traditional knowledge. And as I mentioned before, this is to prevent the patents for being granted erroneously for inventions that might not be novel or intensive with regard to genetic resources and associated traditional knowledge. So, for example, the basic proposal would establish a mandatory patent disclosure requirement. This would require patent applicants to disclose or say the country of origin of the genetic resources and or the indigenous peoples or local community providing the associated traditional knowledge. If the claimed invention is also materially or directly based on genetic resources or associated traditional knowledge. If such information is unknown or if the applicant doesn't know, the source of genetic resources or associated traditional knowledge should be disclosed. If none of the information above is known, the patent applicant should be still required to declare. So that is kind of the idea of the instrument, is about the disclosure requirement, whether in the patent when you applied for a patent. So that is in a nutshell about what the instrument will be. And also this instrument aims to kind of mentions in some words that patent offices should provide certain guidance, though they would have not the obligation to verify authenticity of the disclosure. So those are some considerations, but just to put it out there, this is a very important conference that I think it is very useful for this in this conversation to know. And then there are other publications and materials that we have available, not only on the side of access to benefit sharing, but also we have publications addressed to indigenous peoples and how they can better protect some aspects of their traditional knowledge. We have the first two these first two publications on the left. They're pretty much a summary of the intellectual property rights that exist out there, how some it contains also examples of how some indigenous peoples have used the existing IP rights to protect some aspects of their traditional knowledge. We also have a publication on documentation that also includes some best practices questions, guiding principles that could help to have a more transparent and more equitable process when either documenting traditional knowledge and so on. And yes, you can also have access to the background briefs. The background briefs explain in a short, concise ways all the areas of our work, and that is also very, very useful if you want to check out. We also have news updates. Through this, you can learn more about the work that we do. We send updates either about programs, ways how to engage with our division, and also upcoming activities that we might have. We also have a Facebook account where we share about the activities that we organize, and as well as either scholarships available to learn about these issues. If you are an indigenous person, there is scholarship available through the WIPO Academy as well. But again, all this information is advertised here and also through our newsletter. So, Yupaichani, thank you so much for your attention, and I hope this was very useful. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions, and thank you again to the organizing team for the invitation and for including us in this conversation.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, for now, like we also like have one questions from Owen. It's about like he would like to know to seek more elaboration on how the IP system relate to conservation of the genetic resources. So like the mechanism, and because also like indigenous people also sometimes do not have access to acquire some under how to say to acquire like when they want like to go outside, or yeah, they sometimes like do not have like a power. So how it can be so related to the genetic resources, and to what degree like WIPO like having collaboration maybe with the government on protecting the conservation of the genetic resources. Thank you. Pardon, you are still muted.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. Yes, so regarding this question, I'm not sure if I completely understand the question, but for example, from what we do in our work, I mentioned that we provide technical assistance to governments, whether they are elaborating any policy or any instrument as well related to this issue. Also, itself, I don't know if how the IP system relates to the conservation of genetic resources. Well, I mentioned that from the IP angle, for example, the patents is kind of the closer angle that we can look at in terms of conservation. And indigenous peoples, for example, have had through their knowledge, they have had multiple practices that have help in the management of forestry, for example. So that is kind of one area, right? Through that indigenous groups, through agroforestry, or also controlled burning or selective logging, they have tried to. I mean, there is a sustainable approach from their knowledge, and also in the area of patents, it's more kind of the work that we do. And in this sense, I mentioned that internationally, there is not such kind of protection for this for genetic resources associated with traditional knowledge, but also it depends case to case. So in that case to case case, WIPO has provided that kind of legal advice oftentimes to member states. I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully it kind of answers a bit.
Yes, thank you. And Owen, if you still have like a question, you can like raise your hand and maybe like try to explain. And yes, there is another question regard to you again, Mrs. Sarah, about like, is there any international body who provide fund for traditional knowledge-based project?
So on from my knowledge, I'm not, I mean, there might be multiple organizations, multiple non-government, non-profit organizations as well that might have that kind of funding. Also, it depends on what type of project you are applying to. I don't know, maybe Prem has some knowledge on this, but at least from the traditional knowledge division, I would say we don't necessarily provide, direct funding for projects like that. What we do have in our work, at least we have been focusing on, through one of our programs, we have been focusing on indigenous women entrepreneurs who have their business based on their traditional knowledge, oftentimes. And they have received, through the program that we have, they have received some, they have had some training about intellectual property and how they can use the system to protect some aspects of their their traditional knowledge-based products. And also there is not really direct funding there, but I would say we support the indigenous women entrepreneurs who apply to this program. So I would invite you to be to follow us on any of our media in case there are some funding available. But generally, we don't do that kind of things. I would suggest cooperation. For example, different types of cooperants from different countries, they often offer that kind of support. Yes.
Yeah. So regarding funding, so as my knowledge and as my network and other things, I'll say like if you have some traditional knowledge project, or you can also modify those things with the modern things. Also, you can incorporate those things with the other your concepts. So you can get some of the IFSA and also World Food Forum. Basically, the food and agriculture organizations always organize lots of project competition. So you can also apply there, because traditional knowledge, there is not specific funding, but you can get some of the funding from their side because they are organizing some of the things. And also regarding the traditional knowledge, the traditional knowledge is based with what things, basically with the crops or different type of technologies or different things. So you have to focus on the what type of project you are doing, and how much and what type of funding you need, what type of support you need from the different type of entities. So I would suggest the IFA will open many type of projects. So project competitions, project opportunities, you can apply there. So next one is this month, the United Nations Environmental Programs, the UNEP, open the youth climate award, or the project competitions, or you can say the opportunity. So it might be good seed funding for your project. So if you want to have a look on those, what type of project and what things, you can go to the UNEP, United Nations Environmental Programs, LinkedIn, or social media in the Instagram and Facebook, and you can have a redirect on the link, and you can watch what type of project they are funding. So now I can say FAO and also UNEP will be the one of the organizations who is funding basically for the projects. But in specific, being specific, what type of traditional knowledge and to which technologies and which type of projects you are incorporating, and to whom, basically the who will be the beneficiaries of your project would be the important things. Yeah.
So thank you for the answer. So we have 4 minutes left for this event. However, maybe I also have a question regarding the biotechnology. Yesterday we also learned about the carbon trading and see how important it is to improve our forest itself. So for this case, if we would like to use biotechnology itself, but we also want to make sure that it is all the community understand regarding this, and we do not really exposing our forest a lot. So what kind of policy or environmental risk assessment that the government should have, or maybe such a system that the government should have, every country should have regarding this? Maybe both of you
I
can
think
answer that. Yes.
Yeah, so regarding the policy and different type of things, I already said it depends upon the what type of country progress. Because for the Nepal it might be different, because they have large area covering by the forest. But for the UAE, for the other countries, for the Gulf countries, it might be different, because it depends upon the what type of situation, what type of conditions, and the area of forest covering the land, also terrestrials, and also the other things, how the wetlands and peatlands are over there presented over there. So it depends upon the country policy. It depends upon the country situation and status. Because what you can ask, like for the developing country, it might be incorporated with the department, also different ministry like forestry, also the agriculture ministry. You also incorporate some of the indigenous technology on those things. Also, you will focus on the how you can maintain the liabilities and benefit both, because the cost and profit will be the income, and the cost will be the one of the in the two hand, right? So if you are exploiting some things, you have to manage that. It's all about balancing the things 50-50%. So that type of policy will be important, because we need resources. We obviously need resources, so we have to we have to use, and we use some of the resources from the forest and other things. It's important, but instead of that, how can we balance those things, or how can we balance that effect will be the important one. So regarding policies, it depends upon the country. So if you want to make intervene or negotiate with your things, within your countries, you can go to the your portals, your country's portal, and what type of policies are made over there, and what type of policies are going to made, so you can intervene there. So I would say depends upon the countries. Also, the 50-50 rule apply on the making the policy and also developing things, and different for the developing and developed countries, the policies and things. Yeah.
Thank you, Prem, for the answer. Sarah, do you want to add something before we end our session today?
Yeah, I think something that I would like to emphasize, perhaps also not directly related to that, but I think it's important to recognize that at least from an intellectual property perspective, since there is this lack of regulations in some countries, of course, in some others there have been some sui generis type of laws that have been developed. It is important also to keep that a good communication with the communities that are involved in whatever practice that you do. Because there are so many impacts in their lives, not just on their territories, but also in their economies. And it is important to remember that if you want to have a process or project that is equitable and that actually aims to foster a rural type of development, it's important to also include those who will be affected. So in the case of indigenous peoples, for example, always make sure to consult their customary laws, to consult with the government, because every community has a different type of government. Some might be either organized by assemblies where they take decisions where every community member is involved, and also there are consultations there. But also looking at how the benefits, I think I would like to also emphasize in that, as Prem mentioned, to make the process of benefit sharing equal and as equal as possible with what we have, right? So I think that would be something that I would like to mention before closing the session, that if we want to build or we want to take part of a better ecosystem, we need to take those steps, those steps, being mindful that this type of processes take some time, and they require consultation for all those who are involved. Yes.
Thank you, Sarah. And I would like also before we wrap up our session, do you have something in conclusion regarding this event, and what do you want to say to us?
Is it for any of both of us?
For both of you.
Oh, Well, I don't know. I think one last thing that I would add is that yeah, the negotiations that I mentioned at the end, there will be a webcast, at least on some of the main sessions, but participation is only in person. So you still might want to follow the sessions that I mentioned, the diplomatic conference, through a webcast page. So you just type in, type WIPO webcast, and then you'll have the option of diplomatic conference, of course, during the week of the diplomatic conference, or the weeks of the diplomatic conference, because actually it's 2 weeks. So follow that. I think it will be very interesting to hear about how the process is coming along. And again, if you have any further question, well, welcome to reach out to us, and thank you a lot.
Yeah, so for me, it was worthy because I also gained some information and some knowledge about indigenous technology, also the intellectual property right, because it's important for everyone's the generation is growing, we are moving ahead, but we have to focus on the indigenous knowledge because those are the important for us. Highlighting those things. Moving on, it was learning and also sharing opportunity, also everything's gaining also, and also providing some things for me. It was the review of event, and it was amazing one. And so I thank you for the opportunity. It was amazing opportunity to discuss with the young peoples. Also, I will highlight that in last, talking and also speaking will not be enough. Yeah, in somehow it is the initiation of things and it is initiation of the actions. But basically, I already highlight in the previous things, also during my slide, during my presentation, and I will highlight again. The actions will be the important one, and the youth actions and your actions, my actions, will lead to the better future. So act now. I will not say create a big project, make the 10,000, create raise the fund of $10,000 and start your project. I will say start from the ground with $0 or $1, and make difference in your communities. Also make you empower young peoples, and might be the school children, also young peoples. So it's all about advocating. It's all about acting together, also acting differently, also starting from now. So I'll focus on start building some projects which might be helpful for the better planet. Also, you can also incorporate the communities. You can develop those things. Also, if you have more ideas, you can incorporate the other things, also in indigenous technologies, more ideas. There might be lots of opportunities for youth in project and other things. So I will say, let's act together. Also, the act now is the important part, and also I will hope you'll act through different type of project and different type of initiation. So this is my highlights, and thank you, Sarah, and also thank you for the organizers, and love to be here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Sarah and Prem, for the presentation. As we are in the end of our event, we would like to have a photo session together before we end the session. So for everyone, please, if your internet is okay, please turn on your camera and let's take picture together. Wait a minute. All right, so we will start from the first slide. Everyone, one. Okay, wait. Everyone, starting to open their camera. All right. So we can start from the first slide. So for the first slide, 1, 2, 3, smiles. Next slide. 1, 2, 3, smiles. Thank you again to Sarah and Prem, and thank you everyone. And please join again tomorrow, because we have another session from the Forest Dialogue, and we will talk more about the justice, scale of the justice, and who define the justice itself. And thank you so much again for Sarah and Prem, and see you when we see you again. Bye bye.
Yeah, thank you. Have a nice day, everyone. Good
Thank
night.
you.